Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babishoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to creating an alternative lifestyle design that improves quality of life for both people and for the planet, exploring alternatives to the daily grind through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. Today is episode 110, and I want to talk about, I want to do a series on these of like problems and solutions. And as I said on episode 109, it's kind of the philosophies and stuff that I think that people need to get. I spoke on there on how to teach a person how to fish in contrast to giving them a fish. You gave them some food, they ate for a day. You teach them how to fish and you fed them for life. But unfortunately, there's a lot to fishing. You're not just going to, you need to learn what type of lines, what type of species, what type of day, weather, color of water, bait, and all those kind of things. And I think that the philosophy is probably what I'm realizing for the show is to share is probably one of the most important aspects of it. Because once you get that, everybody's life is different and everybody will utilize the tools and the philosophies and they'll actually interpret them different. So if we can get the main message out and get people inspired, then I think we're on the right track. And one of the reasons I want to do a series of problems and solutions is that one of the problems I see is that people get immersed in their problems and they don't really focus on the solutions. And for various reasons, I think people like drama or what, they get married and they get stuck in those problems. And it becomes a very dark, gloomy world. And I want to introduce people into worlds like my own that are exciting and that are full of wonderment and magic and thoughts and ideas. And it's addicting. Instead of sitting there on the negativity and focusing, solely on just what's wrong with everything and getting into making solutions and doing it, living it and having results, it gets very addicting and it gets very fun. And it becomes part of you kind of like problems. Let's see what we can do. What are we going to come up with? So that's what I want for you guys. And that's what out of these series, this one in particular is, I've been talking a lot in the past last year about a coming recession. And I think there's a lot of people that are talking about it now. I really don't see how this is the end of June here in 2020, by the way. And there's a lot of problems that we have and we need to come up with some solutions. And when I look around me, I see a lot of people that don't even know the first place to start. Budgeting, and they don't even know if there's even an alternative. I think that's the biggest part of my message is that I live a completely different life than most people, from the norm, quotation marks. And there's a lot of other people who do the same. And I love finding out the ideas and the things, the tactics that they're doing, because we don't have to be stuck here. We don't have to be doing this the way we're told. A lot of us don't like to do what we're told, and that's what a lifestyle design is you design your own life before life designs it for you, or other people come in and start telling you what the fuck to do. Oh, dang it, potty mouth podcast. Sorry about the profanity, it just comes out that way, but it's a potty mouth podcast. So now I want to talk a little bit about the coming food shortage that people are saying it is. And here's the thing with problems and solutions, especially what we're going through right now, this whole COVID-19 thing. Nobody knows what's going on. I'm not saying that there is going to be a food shortage, but when I hear shit like that, I go, I look into it. We've got Tyson Meat Company, I think somebody said is may from the media. We can't believe everything they say, but they're saying they may shut down. There's going to be a huge meat shortage. And they said possibly a food shortage, vegetables as well. But the solutions that I like to live by in my life and I want to share with you guys is things that you should be doing whether this shit happens or if it doesn't. How is this good for you, for your community, for your kids, your environment, for the planet, for the animals, the insects, for everybody? Is there a way that we can marry technology or marry thought, put exercise, imagination and thought, and create things that we can do where we're living a better life regardless? Doesn't that sound like a pretty good solution? Things that we should be doing. And when it comes to food, we eat, or I'm not going to get too much in this because this is about problems and solutions, but I want to give you maybe a problem number one here that I have. If none of you have ever heard of a guy named Weston A. Price, he was a dentist who traveled the world and was studying people's bone structures. He was a dentist, right? So he was checking out indigenous people's teeth and stuff like that. People were isolated from modern dieting and stuff like that, where they had jaw deformities. And I guess what the gist is that your body will start robbing calcium from your jawbone to give to other parts of the body because you're vitamin deficient because of the foods you're eating, and therefore it collapses the jaw. Your teeth start to get loose. You get tooth decay. Whereas people who ate solely off the land, which was meat and vegetables and milks and things like that and wild foraging, had a really good bone structure. Their faces were even different. They were more rounded instead of flat and square. And that's the problem I have with our food right now, is that it's very vitamin deficient. I think it's been this way for many, many years. Let me share with you guys why. We have nitrogen. I always fuck this one up too. It's phosphorus, potassium, and I can't remember nitrogen, potassium, and god damn it. And I know these. Anyway, NPK. All right, it's what you guys always hear. It's probably going to pop in the middle of my fucking mind mid-sentence here. So they have 3 ingredients that they put on. The nitrogen helps the plants to grow very green. The phosphorus helps out for the blooming and everything. And the potassium helps out with the actual fruits, I believe it was, or I got it backwards there. We're going to go in detail today of how I got a solution to grow food. But they have these 3 vitamins, or these three things that they add to the food, and everybody's in competition with each other. So they got this great looking vegetable, but it only has possibly 3 ingredients, or 3 vitamins and minerals inside of it. It may have a couple other things, but it's not very nutrient dense. And my solution to that, what I do for my children, is I give them multivitamins, and I give them multivitamins twice a day. We load ourselves. So if we're missing all of these minerals, I mean, I think there's something like 53 different minerals that plants need: zinc, boron, selenium, all kinds of different stuff in there to make them very healthy as well, so that they don't die. And our food is basically bred for shelf life, some of it for appearance, but not for vitamin density. So we have a problem there, and the solution is to either grow your own food, which we're going to talk about next year, or take some supplements to like a gas tank, to fill up your gas tank with additives and things that are missing to clean your engine and keep you running at tip-top performance. So permaculture is another thing that you're going to hear a lot on this show. It's basically farming with nature. And one of the sayings in permaculture is the problem is the solution. I'll give you, there's a guy named Rob Greenfield, pretty cool dude I stumbled upon a few months ago, and he did a thing in Florida where he lived, he's all over YouTube, just do Rob Greenfield. I'm nowhere associated with him, he doesn't even know who I am, but he lived off other people's land, spin farming, as I'm doing right now. And he tried to see, well, can I make a lower impact on the earth by growing all my own food, producing all my own resources? I mean, this guy he did not go to the grocery store whatsoever. His health got compromised by it, and it was just interesting. But one of the things he had is he needed protein, and I believe it was peanuts. And he was trying to grow these peanuts there in Florida. It's right outside of, I think, in Orlando, Florida, the central region. And the squirrels kept eating all his stuff, and he just couldn't get any. And he was like, if I could just get protein, I can get healthier. So what are squirrels? Squirrels are meat. Meat has protein. Squirrels are eating the peanuts. Eat the squirrels, you solve the problem. So that was Rob Greenfield's solution to getting rid of the squirrels and helping out his body and getting complete balance. I'd like to say on one of mine was when I had 5 acres of land I was renting. I had these spider mites, they're called, and they're these little orange they look like little tiny crabs, like little tiny spiders, and they basically put a web over your, like, say, your tomato bush. And I mean, they'll web the whole entire thing, and they just start sucking off the plant, and they multiply fast. I read up on it and found out there's this little beetle that'll it's about the size of a pinhead, and they're black, and they love to feast on these things. So in permaculture and in natural gardening with the earth, instead of turning up, spraying everything with chemicals, sometimes we just wait. And because there was an abundance of these spider mites, these beetles actually showed up the next day. and they ate every single one of them within like 4 or 5 hours, half a day. I took a video of it. I have it somewhere stored in my files. And they completely just ate all of the spider mites for me. Nature's way of helping me out to keep my tomatoes growing. So the problem actually had a solution that came onto it of itself. And a lot of things in nature, scientists, it's very well known, solar panels, airplane wings, a noise buster thing, a noise reducer on the front of one of those crazy speed trains. When the train would come out of the tube, I think it was in Japan, out of the tunnel, it would just make this loud bang like a bullet. And it's called biomimicry. The engineers and the scientists studied about how are these other animals aerodynamic, and how could we apply that towards these vehicles like planes and stuff like that, so that they operate a lot better. Even down to solar panels, how do we generate electricity from the sky? They learned that from, I forget what it was, like an insect's eyeball, how it would let some light in but not other lights in. It kept them out. And they just studied that lens. I think wetsuits were made over this. So the point is how much we can learn from nature and watch these problems that happen. And again, it's the philosophy too. It's not, I think a lot of people I see get stuck. They see something that we're talking about, an example. But if you can open up your mind and get in a macro observatory situation here, an angle, you can see, well, how can I apply these in other parts of my life, such as my business, money, my home, my relationship, my spirituality, whatever it is you're looking for. Once you understand these things and start applying them, you learn a hell of a lot more. And it's very exciting because sometimes the solutions are all around you if you just have the eye to observe these things and see. So one of the things I'd like to go before I do on just a couple little examples on this food shortage thing of what to do about it. I want to talk about actually solving a problem first before in reverse of all this stuff. See, I like to fuck around because I'm an asshole, right? So I always love to test myself. And one thing I want to say is a very powerful finding that I've had is my biodegradable container gardening. And this is completely non-toxic, except for the plastic irrigation for drip irrigation. But I have everything automated. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But it's... So let me get into what the gist of it was with the problem. I start rambling. Sorry about that, guys. I'm getting better on reining myself in. So what I looked at is, do I have enough time? Do I have water? It's too expensive. I don't know how. And what are all these problems I have? And one of the biggest ones was soil. I don't have, how can I dig up? I live in an RV park, for those of you who don't know. I live in a tiny house. And I live very simple, don't have a lot of space. There's no way I can start digging up the earth over here and start planting stuff in the ground. It's all gravel, and there's a lot of problems that I see, that I observe from other people trying to grow their own food. And a lot of it has to do with the soil. There's seeds in there. So as soon as you start watering and putting your tomatoes, say, in there, these things just overtake it. You got to constantly be weeding. The water dries up. The irrigation, you have to constantly be irrigating this thing. It's like putting a drop of water on a sponge. You can imagine the middle of summer, sticking that sponge out in the middle of the sun, put a drop of water on it, it instantly evaporates. Everything's dry around it. So it's like, wow, how do we get around these things? Then we got rats and mice coming and eating our food. We have snails and slugs. I have earwigs. I got all kinds of different things that are happening. And finally, you just get frustrated and go, you know what? I can't do this anymore. So what I looked at is how can I fix that problem? Here's what I kind of want to explain is that I really don't know the most professional way to grow, say, tomatoes or cucumbers or zucchini. Again, I experiment with everything. But to me, I looked and I said, that's actually probably the easier part to grow. Let's focus on the problem first before we get going with this stuff. So I guess it's kind of mixing the solutions in there, but not looking at the two, at both of them, if I'm articulating that right. Like, let's get the problem solved first before we come up with the solution of how we actually grow things. So what I came up with is a water retentive soil. It's a square foot gardening. It's from Mel Bartholomew, Square Foot Gardening. I used his Mel's Mix, which is peat moss, vermiculite, and then worm castings. It's my own mixture there with the worm castings. And so now I have a nutrient-rich soil. I have something that's highly water retentive. I started from scratch, so there's no bugs and like nematodes and those, stuff eating the roots. I don't have to worry about gophers and everything. So I got that problem solved. My soil stays the same. And now I put them in baskets, in square foot baskets. It's just something I've never seen anybody do, so I kind of have to invent it and make it up as I go. That's what I do all day on my mini retirements here in 2020. But I have this whole situation fixed now where they're hanging from baskets. They're on a frame, so the snails and the slugs can't get to them. And I can show you guys. I'm going to do a whole podcast on this thing because I think it's going somewhere. I think we revolutionized how people can grow their own food. But the snails can't get it. The gophers can't get it. There's nothing really but flying insects. Ants can't even get to this thing. We've eliminated all these pests except for birds and flying insects. And we even have something for that. So now that we looked at that, now that we have that all set up, now we can look and go, okay, now what do we plant? How do we plant? There's a lot of things, as I said, to teaching you guys how to fish. When teaching you guys how to garden, certain plants like different pH systems. The pH, for those of you who don't know, is acidity and alkaline. So something like blueberries is not going to grow. It's not going to do too well in something that tomatoes like or cucumbers, right? So the soil is manipulable, and could be done anywhere. So we have the solution now, and we have the problem solved. Now we got to get more on the solutions of what to grow, how to grow it. But that to me is the easiest part. We knocked out the hardest part first to figure out, is this even something that's possible that we should pursue before we start really building the solutions, if that makes sense to you guys. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that. It was something that occurred to me about what I'm doing here, and I felt like it was a new tactic of how to kind of go about designing and figuring things out. So yeah, we may possibly have a food shortage coming. I don't know. I really don't give a fuck either way. I'm not here to debate or anything, or I don't believe anything other than I want to grow some food that, for like I've said before on the show, food that just for the flavor, if it's not for anything else. If you don't care about the environment and all that, do it because it's the best tasting, flavorful food on the planet. And it comes with all the other perks where it's biodegradable, it is good for the earth, and it's remineralizing your body, giving you vitamins and things that your body needs. And it makes you feel good just growing. I can see my neighbor, I got them into pruning their tomatoes and doing some things different. And I see them out there almost every single day checking on their plants. And what's very cute about it is even the dad will hold the plant very gently with his fingers, and just hold the leaf and flip stuff over and look. And there's an element of respect and an element of wonder and magic, and I think calmness that comes over when you garden. And it's just nice to see somebody living in such a small space to have like 3 tomato bushes, and it's their life, like not their entire life, but they're just so into how nurturing and taking care of these things. So it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, the answer to if there's a food shortage, or even if there isn't, is things we should already be doing, is start your own garden. And I know a lot of people are going to look and go, as I said in the opening of the show, they don't know the first place to start. In fact, and get intimidating. And there's a lot of information out there that I think is there to kind of get you stuck. People have their opinions. Do they have proof of concept? A lot of them I think don't, but it sure sounds good. And like as of everything, the corporations and people out there are going to say that you need all this other stuff and you're going to have to do this and that, otherwise the things are going to die. And you see they're selling you weak genetics, these genetically modified plants. If I can tell you guys, they're going to grow in a controlled environment in a greenhouse with perfect temperatures, with mist when they get thirsty. They just came out of the fucking, the spa, and then we just stick them out at your home in the middle of the sun where there's tons of things that hunt and kill them. How well do you think they're going to do? You see, everything retains memory. And if these plants are bred like this all the time, that seed, when the mama plant, the hermaphrodite, I like to say, most of them, dies, and it leaves in part for those seeds. The law of nature is everything wants to survive. So it encodes in those seeds, hey, you better get ready because we have high drought, we have winds, we have things that are hunting us, and you better be ready. Doesn't it make sense? In contrast to when you have something that's bred, that's protected, and when it comes out, it has no information like what? Dad never got hunted or mom never got hunted, So you're getting weak seeds, and that's why I think you'd want to start your own garden, because the longer you do it, and the easy way, which I can tell you guys is to grow stuff, but not sit there and worry about all these little fucking details. Save yourself these seeds every year. One tomato bush, let's just say, or one cucumber. Save those seeds, and that's not even very difficult. And keep planting them every year. And what's going to happen is your plant's going to adapt to your biome, to your area. And I guarantee you that it is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And you can start manipulating this thing with different additives if you want. Like, I'd like to just stay simple with like worm castings. Give it some worm castings and stuff like that, and you're going to notice these things are just going to get rich in flavor. And once you taste that flavor, as I said, with an alternative lifestyle design, once you taste freedom, there's no going back. And I think a lot of people don't like to eat vegetables because they're eating fucking stuff that's like 50% water, if not more. It has no flavor. It's bred for shelf life, for appearance. As I say on this show a lot in my life, fuck all the appearance of stuff, the way things look. I can't come up with the word right now, but I want to know what this thing could do for me first before I beautify this. The aesthetics, if it's aesthetically pleasing, means shit to me. Same thing with relationships and stuff. I look and I'm like, it could aesthetically look pleasing, but if the inside is just rotten and dumb and fucking selfish and stuff, I don't want to be around that. I want to find something that's beautiful and that tastes wonderful on the inside and looks good on the outside. I'm a bitch. I want both, and I know that you do too. So yeah. So I want to get into at the last part of this podcast. A lot of people say it's expensive. I got to buy all these fertilizers. We've got all those problems solved, and we're going to show you how. But on the word of expense, somebody in the gardening arena said that growing your own food is like printing your own money, meaning that I've been on the subject of tomatoes, I guess, because it's the most easiest. I've got some numbers here and stuff, which I'll go ahead and just give it to you right now. Like, your tomatoes usually, they grow takes about 90 days to where you start eating off of them. And I'm going to say to keep even numbers, you're going to have about 100 days of watering. So if you can calculate your water, like here in Sunnyside, California, North County, San Diego, it's about 0.003 per gallon of water. And my methods, you don't really need a gallon of water every single day. But if you did, it's too expensive. It would cost you, 30 cents of water to grow one tomato bush for 100 days. You will buy seeds. You can actually go to organic grocery store, your farmer's market, and you can go and buy a tomato, take a bunch of seeds out, eat the tomato, and then plant that, and you just got yourself a meal and you're growing something. So is it expensive? No, it's looking for the solutions. And I just gave you a great one right there. All of your neighbor's lawn clippings and the leaves that fall from a tree, you can make your own compost. You can do all kinds of things. But even if you're buying stuff like I am, my worm compost, it cost me about $2, I would say, for the whole growing season for one tomato bush. It would cost me about 30 cents for water. See how I start adding this up? My labor is pretty much almost zero. All I have to do is prune this thing every once in a while, or I can just leave it alone. The hardest thing for me, the way I'm growing stuff in hanging baskets with a tomato bush, is I'm training it up, a biodegradable rope, by the way, and training it up with clips. So I have to just keep clipping it as it grows to the rope so that it can hang and train it like a vine. So that's pretty much all I have to do. So out of, let's just say that, and the cost of the sack and everything is about 60 cents. So I'm roughly around $3.30 for a growing season of a tomato bush, and I will get probably, I don't even know, 15 pounds of tomatoes, maybe 20 pounds. I don't know. But when we look at the mathematics, how much does it cost for heirloom organic tomatoes at the grocery store? I think it's like $3.50 to $4.50 a pound. So you do the math. It's like printing your own fucking money, because you'd have to take those dollars and go to the store to buy tomatoes and zucchini, and which zucchini out here are like $1 a piece, I think. It's expensive. It's ridiculous. Same thing with the cucumbers, $1 a piece. So it's like printing your own money, and the thing is, it just keeps, unlike the stock market that goes up and down, it just keeps booming. Because now that I got, say, 15, 20 pounds of tomatoes, let's just keep it conservative and say 15 times $4. That's some good money right there. Not only did I get fed, but now I actually have seeds that I can grow next year. And I have hundreds hundreds of seeds that I can grow next year that I can share, barter, or keep my own food supply going. So every year gets richer and richer. I'd like to say that it's like printing your own prescription. A lot of us are sick. And I think that eating these vegetables is proven. A high vegetable diet, more of them, and you don't have to cut out meat if you don't want to. It's a big debate, which I'm not here to talk about, but it's like printing your own prescription. By eating this good food, you are taking care of your health, which I think is just as important as exercise. If not even more important than exercise, is the food you eat. Is probably number one. I'm going to say it this second right now. Right here, right now, came from Adrian Babashoff. I think your food is actually even more important than your exercise. If you ate good vegetables, clean foods, I think that you would drastically see a change in your health. And with this whole COVID-19 thing and everything going on, I don't want to spur too far off here, but to me, again, nobody knows what the fuck's going on. We don't know what's in these vaccines that they're trying to come up with. Some people are saying that certain drugs work and all that. And when I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and as he said, nobody's talking about how do you build your immune system up. Do they even believe in that? You know, I think a lot of people aren't aware. Your last line of defense, or first line, I would say, of your defense is your immune system. And your immune system needs vegetables, just like the plants, as I said, when they're growing them up. It doesn't need just an NPK. It needs calcium, it needs magnesium and boron and all kinds of vitamins A, K, and all of these minerals and stuff to grow good. And you're going to get those from your plants. If not, you're going to have to supplement with vitamins. So yeah, there's a lot of things. So it's too expensive. We just went through the expense, and I don't know how is the next one I almost overlooked here. You don't even need to know how. Especially if you do container gardening. And if you look at the methods that I'm going to have for you guys very soon here, I've ironed out the kinks, okay? For those of you who don't know, square foot gardening is in a square foot, a 12 by 12 inch area. You don't need to learn spacing other than some simple mathematics where you draw an X right through the center of the square foot, and that gives you 4 squares, right? You take your finger, you poke holes right in each of the center of those 4 squares, and then you drop a seed, and you start growing like stuff like lettuce, large head lettuce. You can put 1 seed per hole, cover it up, and then with my systems, you hang the basket up. You ain't gonna have to worry about ants or anything. You have an automated mister or a water irrigation, a drip line on there. The next time you're gonna touch that thing is when you're ready to cut it to eat it. Or if maybe spray it, or maybe stick your pinky in there and your thumb and poke out one little weed seed that happened to blow in there from the wind. So the mathematics, the soils, the things, there's ways out there of growing your own food where you don't have to know about anything. You just basically need to know how to put something in a hole and cover it up. It's too time consuming. That's the other thing that I think I've kind of beaten out for everybody, is that everything's pretty much almost entirely automated. It is not time consuming. I've just invented a new way to grow microgreens. I've done sunflowers, I've done peas. Right now we're doing cilantro and beets. What else are we doing? We got a couple of buckwheat, I think. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to be growing on the BC Garden Guy on Instagram. We're going to show you guys. But I've been told that to do microgreens is that there's a certain way. You can't overhead water because you're going to get fungus in there and all this stuff. Well, I invented this little way with overhead watering, like basically the same as my garden system. When you bury it, you forget it. You don't touch it. And the reason I'm talking about microgreens right now is because a lot of people would say that they live in an apartment or something. I don't have the right sunlight. I don't have this, that. As long as you have light, you can grow yourself some microgreens, and you'll have something to eat within 7 days is the earliest. And in my methods, there's no spraying it, kissy, well, you can kissy them, that's okay, they like that, but you don't need to sit there and spray them and mist them and baby them like little toddlers. You just put them in and you leave it, you let it go. And this could actually be done inside of a garage, it could be done inside of an apartment building, it could be done off a balcony, anywhere. You will literally be eating something within a week. So I want to I want to move on to raising your own meats. If you're really into that thing, of sticking with meats, then why don't you consider raising your own? And I mean, again, this could be done in an apartment building. I'm going to share with you guys how. We have such things as chickens, and I'll go through chickens first. For a lot of you guys who don't know, those of you who have a home, you won't be doing a chicken in an apartment unless you're in Los Angeles. That's what I like about the Latino community. There's a fucking rooster in an apartment building. This was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it's crowing off the fucking balcony. These people literally had chickens growing in their apartment. I think it's awesome. That's like total gypsy shit right there. But no, a lot of you don't know backyard chickens is, you get your eggs, you feed them, you get eggs, but you can also put these animals to work. You can have them spread compost for you. You can have them go in your backyard instead of hiring the pest control company to come. And these chickens, they call them dinos, like little dinosaurs. They will decimate everything. They'll eat every blade of grass. They'll just go out there and clean. That's what they do all day, every day. So, and hens aren't as loud as roosters, but they still make some noise. I heard some people say that they're perfect backyard animals because they're not that loud. It sounds like a fucking fiasco if somebody lays an egg wrong or something. They're out there fucking Helena. It's like they have an argument. It's cute and funny, but yeah, they are definitely loud. But you have such things as quail and ducks and rabbits, which have no noise, and you also have fish. You have tilapia. You have all kinds of different fish that you can even get some for free. See, let me give you guys a solution. What you can do is go down to your local stream or your local pond, your lake, and you can go get yourself some lunch meat with a tiny little fish hook, and you can go catch yourself a ton of bluegill fish. Are they the greatest of eating? I don't think they're that bad, but I think a bass tastes a heck of a lot better than a bluegill. You can get panfish, and these things are tougher than shit. They grow up in that lake and in that river, and they have been hunted and they know how to survive, but their bodies are very hardened from the, going through the summers and the possible diseases and stuff like that. So they got really strong genetics, and you can just take these things and throw them in a pond in your house, as long as you have a big enough one. I would say at the minimum, you probably want like 100-gallon or 150-gallon. And you can actually take your plants, it's called aquaponics, for those of you who don't know. Take some plants and line the whole entire perimeter in plastic containers. You can get, like I did, is the soda bottles or water bottles, and just drill yourself a bunch of holes in the bottom, fill them with gravel. Again, take a seed, just drop a seed right down the fucking center. Don't even do anything else. It'll actually grow. And what's gonna happen is you don't need to have a filtration system for these for the fish. The fish will actually will live in symbiotic relationship with the plants. The plants will oxygenate the water, and they'll live happily. This is something new that I've done as well. As I said, I'm always experimenting. Some species don't do too well. Some species, like lettuce, they don't like having their roots being eaten. But kale, dino kale, perfect. Mint, perfect. You got yourself a very high dense protein food of kale, and you also have yourself a wonderful herb of spearmint or peppermint. So you grow enough of these around the whole entire perimeter. All you need to do is keep the water flowing. That's all. I like to keep the water moving for them so it doesn't get stagnated, it stays oxygenated. And as long as you don't put too many fish in there, you've now successfully grown some of your own vegetables and your own meat. And you can keep these things in rotation. You see the power of that? So again, I don't know how. It's too time consuming is some of this stuff, and I want to share with you guys, like, there's YouTube videos and there's people coming up with these solutions of stuff I'm still learning about as far as livestock. I'm not sure about livestock for myself. I'm going to talk a little bit later on what I could suggest for you if you didn't want to grow your own livestock but you still want meat. But there's these people have these automated water things for rabbits, chickens, I believe even quail. And it's the animals know. They have it for dogs and cats too. You have this little nipple that goes on the end of a water faucet, and when you move it, it gives water. They take the chicken's beak and they rub it against it. The water drips on the chicken's mouth. The chicken puts 2 and 2 together and goes, I can go and just lick this thing and get water whenever I'm thirsty. The other chickens watch them do it, and your training day is over. And so what is this a big deal? For those of you who don't know about farming, is the old way was you'd have to go every morning and change the fucking water. There'd be moss growing in it. It'd be this pail in the center. Some of the chickens would turn around and take a shit right in the water. So that's not very healthy. That's how we're going to get diseases. There'd be dirt in it and everything, so you spray it all out, turn it upside down, fill it back up and put it there, go and then hand throw fucking feed and check everything all out. Yeah, make sure at nighttime the door's closed, so that no predators can get in the chicken coop. For those of you who don't know, chickens, when the sun starts going down, they'll either climb a tree or they'll start roosting, or I think it's called roosting, right? Where they go up in the tree. Whatever, they'll get a place, and you'll find them like banny hens. You'll find them all up in the trees and the branches to get away from predators, and that's where they'll sleep. Or they'll go in their coop. Problem is, you have to be there every day to close the door. Well, they have these automated doors now through a cell phone or on a timer. It will literally close behind, and most of the time at dark, all the chickens should be in there, unless there was one getting high somewhere, or out on a trying to get her some with a rooster someplace, ended up coming home late, she got locked out. You may have to check on shit like that, but for the most part they got all this automation. They do weird stuff with lights, but you can keep air circulation there on an automation. There's all kinds of things that you can do that aren't like it was before, where you don't have to pour in so much time and energy. The Spin Farm project where I'm at right now, if they ever allow me to, they've got a camera that could actually move around. They can watch their chickens. They can see if there was a predator getting them. At all times, they can get on their cell phone and they can actually peer in and see what's going on in real life time. And it's cool, and it's run off solar. So there's many ways. We live in a day and age, I've said this before, man, but I know there's so much shit out here with this COVID thing, but you guys, this is like the best time to ever fucking be alive. You know what I want to tell you off spur here? I got my shoulders fucked up, right? I tore something in my shoulder. I started YouTubing how this doctor who works on professional sports athletes, he was saying something like, hold your hand out, extend your arm out, and put your thumb up, like a thumbs up with your fingers out. Now move a certain way, and if it pinches on the top, then you have a babiska, whatever the fuck it was. Turn your hand down and move this way. Now we know that you have the whatever, making this shit up. And that's how you know what's wrong with you. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I can do these exercises and stuff and figure out, like, I'm not even sure if I even need to go to the doctors. I'm going to go to the doctors and get an x-ray if they haven't shut everything down yet here coming into July. But I'm just amazed at the amount of information and the things that you can learn, the things that you can do for yourself, that we have YouTube and social media, all these different things. If you apply it to the right areas, that's why I hate when people say that, like, oh, social media is fucking people's lives up. Yeah, because you're looking at the wrong shit. If you're looking to improve your fucking life, it's the best time to ever be alive. I was talking about this the other day too, is books are one thing. I'm hungry for information. If there's something I want, and I believe everybody's on this, and I learned this in my sales techniques, if they want something, the words will sink in. But it is definitely the visuals. More people are attuned to visually seeing something like pictures and video than they are from the written literature. And we have that day and age now to not only learn information, but to actually watch somebody fucking do it. And that's exactly what I want to do with my life, to show you guys all the parts, the good and the bad, all the things that I'm doing, to show you that, dude, look, this is something different. This is something that everybody can do if you want to. I know it's not for everybody, and a lot of these opinions and stuff I say are my own, and they're my own philosophies, my own ideas, and their hypotheses. A lot of them I like to put to the test. What I have put to the test is that we don't have to fucking live like this, dude. We can live different, and I'm loving it. So yeah, you can use your surplus gardening too, going back on the animals, rabbits. That's what me and my special needs daughter do. We go to the farm, the Spin Farm area. Well, the neighbors are really cool people, and they got rabbits and goats, and we go and pick grape leaves and stuff, and leftover like lettuce and stuff. We could feed it to the rabbits that he has, and we get to pet them and stuff on Sundays. So, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to get into. You feed the rabbit lettuce, it eats. You get to pet it. Better yet, a chicken. You feed the chicken some lettuce and you get to pet it and hold it. It lays an egg and you get to eat that egg. The chicken dies, you get to eat the meat. The chicken shits, you get to pick up that shit, make some fertilizer out of it to grow that lettuce to feed yourself and the chicken and to get your eggs. You see how this system goes. That's what's happening, I think. And I think it's something that needs to happen to a certain extent, is we all need to get back to our roots, back to nature, and back to humbled where, look, you're not that fucking big and you're not that fucking powerful. You know, nature has its fucking ways, and that's what it's doing right now. It's saying, sit down, son. You know, you ain't going nowhere. We will fuck you up. But it has to do its thing, and I think that we can learn off of it and we can benefit. So I want to talk about It's Too Expensive, the great finale. And this one I think is huge in my world. I'm going to test it out to see how many people I can get involved. But it's the biggest answer to all of this stuff, and that's community. And I think it's always been community. When travelers were coming, you know, the Oregon settlers and stuff like that in the United States, they traveled in large numbers, and they would form a circle to protect themselves from the Indians. And they all watched. They had a numbers. They had everything there. I think if one person's shit broke, one may have a bolt that somebody else didn't have, and they're able to fix that wagon wheel, and they're up and running. I preferably don't want to live with people. I'm fascinated with communities. I've done a lot of research. If you are interested, I'm nowhere affiliated. Diana Leaf Christensen. She's like, just check out her, Diana Leaf Christensen. She's wrote a couple books, and she has been the most powerful. She's even on some podcasts if you guys want to check it out. But the Community Buyers Club is what I'm looking at. So let's take it back to chickens. And again, I want you guys to think about this philosophy, because that's the new business that I'm starting right now. Is from gardening with seeds, not necessarily animals at all, but the seeds, the soils you need to buy, the burlap, the wire baskets, the any amendments you want, everything. It's a hell of a lot cheaper to buy in bulk. And the more, if you guys go out and look at seeds right now, you're going to see that there's like sunflower seeds for microgreens. And they're going to charge you about, I don't know, I think it was like $8 or something for like a little package of seeds that'll grow you one tray of microgreens. Let's say like a quarter pound or something, or not even that. It's like an eighth, 16th of a pound for like $8, $10. You know, you got to have shipping and all that. Now we start raising it up to like a pound of seeds. It's like $20, I think, right now, or $15. You get like quadruple, whatever a thapple, 8 times more by buying a pound. Now we start moving into buying 20 pounds, 50 pounds. Can I use all those seeds? Most likely not. But if I got myself a community around, and I'll tie this into the chickens right now, it's too expensive to feed. That's going to be the biggest thing that you'll find. Chickens, it's expensive. You can't compete with these people growing hundreds of thousands of chickens at a time, locked up inside little fucking kennels, shitting on each other and dying of fucking strange diseases and causing weird diseases. And the way it's horrible to the animal. Instead of growing them in your own backyard, as I said, utilizing their fertilizer, eating their eggs, having a companion, and having them and yourself live a wonderful life. It's very expensive, unless some asshole like me comes in and goes to a feed store and says, hey, I'd like to buy an entire pallet, or how much could I buy, and what kind of deal would you give me on a giant bulk buy? So let's just say, like the sunflower seeds, I'm getting over 50% off. So I go and buy this chicken food, and I decide I want to raise me some chickens. Or maybe I want to create community. I know of a lot of people who do, and they're not thinking this way like I am. I'm creating a business out of this. People will pay me $25 a month to get their seeds for 8 times cheaper, 80% off. They're going to come through me, and they're going to get the chicken feed for like 60% off, because we got in bulk. And we're going to tie this into a community where everybody gets to help each other and answer questions to new people who are gardening or raising chickens or rabbits or quail or fish or whatever. And you see how this works? It works with the fish food. It works with the rabbit food. It works with hay that's needed to take care of the animals. It works maybe with a vet, where a vet can come in and it's profitable for them to look at 50 chickens instead of driving all the way to see one chicken, you know? Or everybody bringing all their stuff to him, because he's going to give you a discount because you're a member of Adrian's club thing, and everybody wins out. Do you see the power of that? And we also now think beyond that, just buying, of bartering. That's what I was going to say. If you didn't want to grow your own meat, maybe there's somebody that wants to grow their own meat, but they hate growing fucking tomatoes. But in barter, they're going to say, if you're giving me so many pounds of tomatoes every day or a week, I'll give you a fucking, some chicken meat, some fish meat and stuff like that. And we'll just straight up do a barter. Or we can do, as I said, if you're a member and you come to my club and you come to my group of people where everybody wants to share their bounty, you get to pick and choose like all kinds of different herbs and spices and vegetables and fruits and things that are just laid out on a fucking table where everybody gets to share and everybody gets to swap seeds, and they don't have to do all the work themselves basically. And we all get to eat. We all love to share. It makes you feel good inside. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful things that I'm looking at. If I can monetize this, and I'll take you guys on the journey with me, I'm creating community. I'm creating peace on earth. I'm creating solutions. I'm saving people fucking money. I'm building friendships and making the world a better place while I'm getting paid for it. I am fucking excited as shit, you guys, and I'm fucking proud to be here. I'm proud to be doing this podcast. I'm feels like I'm getting better, and I'm hoping that the message gets out there. As I said, that's the most important. I'm going to share a lot of tactics, which I believe I did today for you guys, but it's a lot of it on that philosophy part. It's once you get it and you start incorporating these things. That's how I think. I systems think. I look at stuff like this. What is the fucking problem? And I listen to what people say. It's very expensive. How can I solve that problem? It's very time consuming. How can I solve that problem? And I keep focusing on the solutions instead of the fucking problems and doomsdaying myself and digging myself deeper into a fucking hole. And then it comes to where things start to happen. When you do enough of these, you got a lot of them, you have a lot of problems solved, it feels really wonderful. And you're able to solve other people's problems. And when you're able to do that, guess what? In a time like right now, where shit could hit the fucking fan and we could be in a full-blown recession, down to maybe even a depression, I think we're going to know here in the next fucking 60 days. It's going to be really fucking interesting. Really interesting. I think come the end of August, or maybe possibly the end of this year, we're going to see some very interesting things. And while that's happening, you know, if we could go on lockdown, I don't know if you guys are aware here in California, Sunnyside, California, they've shut down Yosemite. They've shut down, the bars are all ordered to close. I think it's Monday, June, I don't know, we're right at the end of June. Bars are all closed in LA and all over different counties. There's all I think the president has ordered another stimulus check out for people. That means shit's fucking hitting the fan in my book. When do you blow the whistle? But while all this shit is happening, and I see a lot of people focus on what's the problem, is this real, is it fake, why do I have to wear a mask, what are you going to do for yourself? What are you going to do for your family? What are you going to do for your planet? And I think that's where we need to figure out, well, everybody's doing that. I want you guys to consider going out there, getting yourself some seeds, again, philosophically saying, and practicing these things. Plant these things in yourself, or go get physical seeds and plant them in your backyard. Put them in some 5-gallon buckets. Grow some of your own food. But get those seeds of knowledge and put them in your head and start looking at things, at these problems that we have, and see if the problem is the solution for you and how you can switch that around and actually turn it into something beautiful, creating community. And that's what I have. That's the message I have to say, guys. There's so much out there, and this is a beautiful, great time to be alive. Unless you fucking die of COVID-19. I had to throw that one out there. I try to joke, man. I see a lot of podcasters restrictive because they can't say the F word. They can't, I don't know, they get too serious and I think they got themselves in the mold. I'm trying to just stay free here, you know, shadow box with you guys and kind of throw stuff in there. So, yeah, that's the show, guys. You guys can check out the, I'm doing a lot of shit right now. So that's the show if you want to leave, but if you want to understand a little bit more about what I'm doing here, I'm very excited about this business that I just shared with you guys on the show, and I'm working my fucking ass off to get it going. I'm a single dad, special needs kid. You heard my story, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? But I'm working my ass off, so it's hard to, I've been trying to keep off these podcasts so much. Just do maybe one a week. Maybe I'm going to try to do like 3 a week is the goal. But it's very time consuming, but I'm applying this garden business and this barter, this community business that I want to get going because I need to take care of my kid full time. And, yeah, and I'm pouring my life into that. It's something I could get paid for and make a living, and will drastically improve this podcast as well. I'll be able to do a hell of a lot more. So for a while, I'm taking a break, but you can find out a lot of my work on BC Garden Guy. Fucked it up again. B as in boy, C as in cat, gardening guy on Instagram. And that's where I try to post something at least every single day. We're going to open up a YouTube channel and all that on it, and get this thing. There's be a website that I'm building out. I started saying the .com, the web address, but there's no reason to do that because I really haven't done much with the website yet. So when it does, I'll inform you guys and let you know. But for now, you can go to Instagram and help me and my special needs daughter out by just liking stuff and showing, give us a thumbs up, and that's going to help us propel, hopefully, to support ourselves and make life better. And actually, our cause is we're going to revolutionize stuff, guys, for people who can't grow their own food or think they can. You're handicapped. You don't know the first thing about gardening. You live in the fucking city. It's fucking perfect. I love all of those fucking problems because I've got them solved. We're just ironing out the kinks right now. And what the fuck does this mean? This means, like in this COVID situation right now, that everybody can grow something in their backyard. And once you see the way these systems are performing, it's going to blow your fucking mind. And what it's going to do is help heal the planet at the same time while producing food for people and, I hope, community. And I hope we spread it around the world, and I hope it makes a difference, just like this show. So, you guys, if you want to check out some previous stuff I've done, there's the Up and In It Facebook group. Asked to join there. I'll be working a lot more on getting some stuff on there. There's the YouTube channel. There's Spotify and Instagram, TikTok, and all of that. I think I'm probably leaving something out. But yeah, as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Human up. Carry on the fire. Live it, love it, own it. And bone it, my friends.